What's up guys, before I get started with this video I just want to give you a heads up. I did order my N1 oil pump and a new water pump, and that's going to be arriving this week. And I'm also going to get a thermostat just from like AutoZone or something like that. You can use the Z32 thermostat, it's the same size. Guess what it is? A quick backstory on this, I ordered it off of frsport.com and it was placed on back order for like 3 to 4 weeks or something like that. I got it for a really good price, so I didn't want to order it from somewhere else, and it ended up arriving in about 2 weeks, so that was a pleasant surprise. And I also ordered the ARP headstuds at the same time, and they got in like about a week before that. I paid $131 for the ARP headstuds off of eBay, and engine gasket rebuild kit was $132 from FR Sport. Now when unboxing the ARP headstuds, you can tell that the product is really high quality, and it's rated at 200,000 PSI, so I guess that's pretty good. It also comes with its own like assembly lubricant instead of using just motor oil, because it states the higher friction on the studs as well as the inconsistencies in the clamping force of the fasteners when motor oil or other low quality is used. And also when using this, you actually begin to stretch the bolts, so you use an torque angle wrench or something like that to measure the angle at which you're using the torque wrench. So that's something I'm gonna have to rent. So on my head there's some buildup or oxidation on my cylinder head where the coil packs are. So I'm going to go ahead and try and clean that space up. Before you're going to do that, you're going to need to remove the coil pack bracket. And also after that, I just make sure I remove all the washers from the head studs. When you remove the cam gear, you're going to need an adjustable wrench to hold the cam in place while you loosen the cam bolt. And they're just 10mm bolts on the right cam. And after that, I make sure that the cam is still aligned with the marks on the back timing cover. On the left cam gear, it has a spring-loaded cover, and then another bolt under that, so that holds the cam gear in place. And there is oil in there that'll make somewhat of a mess. Then it just pulls right off after that. And then you're going to want to remove the rear timing cover, just a few 10mm bolts. And I'm going to be replacing the front cam seals, and the best way to do that is to raise the cams and the brackets, and it'll just lift up slightly and you can be able to pull out the oil seal easily. And first you're going to have to remove the brackets on the rear cylinders on the head. And also, like the head studs, you go in a specific sequence on removing the bolts, because you can bend the camshaft if you don't. And when torquing the cam brackets back on, you're gonna just do the same thing but in reverse order. And once you get it tightened, you're gonna have to use a torque wrench to make sure it's at the spec according to the FSM. In my first attempt to clean the head, I just sprayed some brake parts cleaner and used a spark plug brush to kind of scrape all the residue off, but it wasn't working that well. Then I resort to using like that degreaser I used before that gets pretty much everything off. Now I remove my oil pump because I'm going to be replacing that. Then I start cleaning up the engine block because I'm going to start prepping it for paint. And mainly what I do to clean the engine block is get a couple of cans of brake parts cleaner and just spray it down a lot and then just hit it with the air gun and just repeat the process, and eventually got clean enough to where I could just paint over it. Paint I'm using is actually header paint, which is rated at like 900 degrees Fahrenheit or something like that, and maybe it's 1300, I don't know. And I'm using that just because I'm going to paint the headers the same color, and I thought I'd just knock out two things in one and just use the same can of paint. It's just a flat black, and it came out pretty well. It did nothing really special about it. Not bad for only $10. Now onto installing the ARP head studs. Before you do that, you're going to want to clean out the threads and make sure there's nothing in there. And I just used one of the old head studs and just run through the threads a few times. As for installing the ARP head studs, you're just going to want to install them hand tight, and it has a little Allen key. And in the instructions, it doesn't say anything about tightening it. It says tightening it to hand tight, but I've also read online to torque it to 10 foot-pounds. So I'll probably just go somewhere in the middle and just torque it a little bit with the Allen wrench, just to be safe. And you don't have to put the assembly lubricant on the bottom threads, just the top threads where the nut is going on top. And I realized that I forgot to buy a gasket remover to clean off the head gasket. So normally people get their blocks surfaced, make sure it's not warped or anything like that, but I don't have the funds to do that right now, so I'm going to do the next best thing is to buy a gasket remover and make sure all the head gasket material is off the block. And I'll be doing that soon, but I just put the head gasket on just to see what it looks like. Removing the paper gasket off the engine block is really really big pain in the ass. You just need a really sharp razor blade and some time, and it'll come off for the most part. And what I couldn't get off, I just used a wire brush with a drill, and that got the rest of it off. I also used the wire brush and some brake parts cleaner to try to get that rust off the engine block, but iron and rust are like best friends. Alright, that's it. So stay tuned for the parts that are coming in this week, and I'll be putting the engine back together probably either this week or next week. And hopefully we'll be doing a test fit the following week. Also, I want your guys' opinion on what kind of clutch I should order and what type of blow-off valve, because I'm shopping around for that. I'm not going to order it just yet, but I just want to get some opinions. So let me know in the comments what you think I should consider. So stay tuned. See you next week.